Okay, well, first of all, thank you for having us here. It's a joy to come to Global Fellowship Office and also have these opportunities to share. My name is Edwin. My wife is at the back, Sylvia. She comes with me so she can prepare lunch for me while I was doing something. And we have grown up on the island of Malta. We are Maltese. And if you read your King James Version in Acts chapter 28, Luke calls us barbarians there. He said the barbarians were unusually kind. So, yeah, that's where Malta is. So we actually have two barbarians here with you, but we have, become very civilized now. But if you read the account, it does show how hospitable the Maltese are and how superstitious and religious they are. So, at the age of 17, I was led to the Lord by a Norwegian missionary. He gave me a New Testament, and I argued with him for 3 months, and I lost the argument. So I became a believer, and then I shared what I had learned with my girlfriend at the time, Sylvia, who was 15, and she also gave her life to the Lord, and that started our journey. What I didn't realize at the time is that we were the first, and there was no other evangelical believers on the island. So being a 17-year-old boy, thinking I found something, I thought I'm going to turn Malta upside down. Well, that did not happen. Believe me, for 10 years it was very difficult because we tried and tried and tried, but none of the Maltese people wanted to hear what we had to say. None of them wanted to understand the Bible. We almost gave up. And in 1982, we were going to emigrate to Australia because we thought that we want to go somewhere where it is Christian. And by that time, we have children, and you're thinking, how am I going to bring up my children, and so on. But God had another plan, and when we were actually, I'm kind of cutting the story short. We had tried to go to other places, but we never succeeded. But when the door finally opened and we were going to Australia, God, in his, in the way he does it, he made us, helped us to meet some other believers that we didn't know about in Malta. And we started actually meeting together as a Maltese group. And that was in January of 1983. And that was the start of the first evangelical Maltese church. So obviously, after a little while, we thought, Australia, why were we going to Australia? Because there was no church. Now there is a church, so we don't need to go. And obviously we stayed in Malta. But it's a way how God, kind of gives us the choice sometimes. This is what I want you to do. He makes it very clear, but he gives you the choice. He doesn't want robots. And I believe God wanted us to pioneer and start the evangelical work in Malta, which we did. And for many years, we worked at the church grew, planted other churches, we helped missionaries up to now. Anybody that comes to Malta to work in Malta, they usually come to us. We help them, set them up, and everything that they need. So God has used that like that for Malta. But we are here more for the North Africa part. So let's kind of switch gears. In 1995, I was preaching on a ship in Malta. Some of you might know the OM ships. This was the Doulos. And on the Doulos, I was preaching to 350 people from 40 different nationalities. And my message was unity and working together. Now, we heard about this biography. So some of you might, if you're hearing this, you might listen to the biography that was shared this morning as well. Of this, remind me the name?
Richard Lull, L-U-L-L.
Raymond Lull. Raymond. Okay, let's just call him Raymond. Of Raymond, I didn't know that somebody, in the 12th century, went to North Africa. and there tried to reach the people. And to me, that's amazing, and I want to read more about this person. But at the end, it spoke about love. Now, I always say there are three things that are very important when, for other people to accept Christ. Let's put it that way. And that is, first of all, that you have a clear message, especially within your testimony. Because in certain places, you can only do it within your testimony. That you love one another. Because Jesus said, they will know you are my disciples if you love one another. So it's not loving the unbeliever, but loving one another. And the third one is working together. Because Jesus said, Father, they will know you have sent me if they are one. So being one is not a suggestion, but a mandate. So I believe if we have those three elements, and I haven't mentioned unbelievers here, and that's between us, if we have those three elements, those out there will see us, and God will lead them to us, and God will open their eyes, and they will accept. And that's what I've kind of worked on in these years that I've been going to North Africa. I tell people, you don't need to evangelize. You need to live a good Christian life. Let the Holy Spirit touch hearts. And when the Holy Spirit touches a heart, normally that heart seeks somebody they want to talk to. And if you're there, and you have a good testimony, you love the ones, because loving we say love your enemy. Yeah, it's easy to love your enemy at a distance. But loving your wife that you live with and showing that love, it's a whole different story. And people watch you, people watch you. So love one another and work together. Unfortunately, in the world around us, and unfortunately in North Africa, if you talk to a North African and you talk about the West, what they know about the West is what they see on television, what they see in films. I was just talking with Jeremy and Conrad this morning, and we were talking about counseling. And there is licensed, there was licensed marriage and licensed therapist. I said, now we need to remove this. Because, you might not notice it, but we do. How many of your films and serials show a therapist and a psychiatrist? It looks like you cannot live without them. And this is just to show you how we, on the other side of the world, look at, Americans and their psychiatrists. That's because we don't use them in our country. If somebody is going to a psychiatrist, it's because he's going to go to an institution. And that's the way. So anyway, what they see is what they know of films. So once we, love one another and work together rather than fight each other, I believe that God will change things. So anyway, I was on this ship and I was preaching unity, and somebody asked me to go to North Africa and do this in a church there. At first I said, no, I am not a missionary, I am a pastor. They said, oh yeah, we need a pastor. So anyway, long story short, I went. This was in 1995. God literally changed our lives. Myself and my wife, we decided we want to keep going. So we've been going to North Africa since 1995, and we have gone to all the countries of North Africa, from Mauritania, Morocco, Algeria, Libya, and Tunisia, the small one, the top there. Anyway, we've been to Egypt and a lot of the countries in the Middle East as well. And we mainly go to encourage those that are Christ followers. We don't really go to evangelize. We don't go to try to win people, but we go and we find Christ followers and encourage them. In most of these countries, there are what we call expatriate churches. that we like to go to and encourage as well, and also equip them for the task that God has them there for. So that's what we kind of do. We, like I said, we live in Malta. Malta is a nice place, at least I think so. There's lots of history. We have the oldest man-made buildings in the world. You know, I mean, so they say they are from 5000 BC. And I usually say, oh, Edwin must have built them, because that's when we live in. But we do have about 40 of these prehistoric temples, nothing like them in the rest of Europe. Now, why in Malta? We don't know, but there it is. One of them you can see there. There are some that are built above ground, and some that are actually dug in the rock below. So that's that. And then we have lots of sea and fortified cities. You can see the one on the left there. Lots of sea. Yeah, it is a nice place. This is actually from my balcony at home. This is the sunrise. I usually get up at just before sunrise, watch the sun come up, and once I know it's okay, go back to sleep. I didn't want you to think that I stay awake. Sometimes I watch the sunrise and then go to sleep, because I stay awake. Okay, so what do we do? Again, I don't want to spend too much time in all of this, but our main role in North Africa, Middle East, is helping people work together. You've caught my heart now, that my passion is to help people love one another and work together and have a good testimony. Okay, so that's what I like to do. And how did I start doing this? God, many years ago, we were studying the book of Luke, and Luke chapter 23, verse 12, there's a particular passage there that kind of touched my heart at the time. And in short, it is, Pilate and Herod became friends. And kind of you look at that, and you know, Pilate, Herod, two different cultures, two different languages, an atheist or a pagan, somebody that believed in one God. I mean, completely different. They both thought that they were leading Israel at the time, one from the Roman side, one from the Jewish side. So they had nothing in common. It said that they became friends. Prior to this, they were enemies. Prior to what? To Jesus being brought in front of them. And that really, you know, I would say touched my heart, broke my heart, because at that time I was trying to get the few churches we had in Malta together. It's amazing. As soon as the church starts growing, we start fighting. I mean, to me, it's unbelievable, but that's the way it happens. So as I'm trying to do that, I'm trying to tell them, look, Pilate and Herod became friends because they had Jesus as their enemy. How much more should we, with Jesus our Lord, become one? And then, you know, when you read John 17, I mean, that is Jesus' last will and testament. I mean, he was going to die, and all he could pray about many times, I think seven times at least, may they be one. I mean, that was his wish. So should we not do that and become one? So that's why I do this. That's why I go to the MENA region, helping churches and church planting. And all the list there, that's all collaboration networks. The ones on the side, Mani, Comibam, Lausanne, Mission Nexus, those are kind of bigger ones involving more networks than churches. Mani is Africa. It's the African churches coming together to do missions. Comibam is the Latin American churches coming together to do missions. Lausanne, you know, 50 years ago, Billy Graham started that as an evangelistic way of helping the church become more evangelistic, etc., etc. And I can share a lot about all those networks there that I am part of, and that some of them I actually am the operations director, so I kind of run them. Some of them small, some of them quite big. Again, I will not share more about that unless you have questions afterward. But the work in the MENA region is not easy, but also encouraging at the same time. You know, it's encouraging to see churches grow in certain parts of North Africa. It's encouraging to see, even when persecution is there, to see the strength of the believers there. So on the whole, we are encouraged. And you know, this, when I look at this picture, it always reminds me of a few years ago. I was going to a church in Texas, near Dallas, and when we were going to drive up the driveway, there were men there that stopped us, and they said, "Sorry, the church is full." And I thought, oh, this is the first time it happened to me, you know, you're being stopped from going to church because the church is full. And the guy said, well, you know, I mean, special guest. Oh, okay. So, and then we went on. But when I went in, I thought, this is full? I mean, there's a 6-foot aisle. We could have put 200 chairs in this aisle. And then you look at places like this, look at that. And that's not only it. Look at this. I mean, and you know, this is North Africa, and when you see that these people are so anxious to come together and to meet. Now, why do we go? We go, you know, to encourage as much as possible. That's what we started. I used to tell people, I just go and put my hand on their shoulder and just be with them. And believe me, that message carries a lot with it. And I did that. Educate, equip them, empower them, engage. And I still do that. I still have partner ministries in North Africa that I help, either just by teaching, training, by being there for them, or by helping them financially with certain projects that they might be doing. Sometimes helping somebody relocate so that they can church plant. Anyway, we're still doing that around. Again, if you have any questions about that, we can talk about that later. The collaboration happens in a lot of places, but we do a lot of meetings in Malta. Now, why Malta? We started in Malta because in 1996, I was in Spain. I was invited for this partnership meeting for North Africa, and there were about 70 people, and I noticed that there were no North Africans there. And that kind of intrigued me. And obviously, I was there the day before to talk about a particular country, which I did. And then the next day, when I saw all the people and no North Africans, I said, you know, this is wrong. Fortunately, something happened that put me on the stage. Well, I have to tell you now. But anyway, something happened to me which was funny. And as I was relating this funny incident, the chairman happened to be on the next table next to me, and he didn't know me, and he said, can you relate this story from the stage? I said, of course, you know, I mean, and he said, oh, this will make the atmosphere light. And so I did, you know, but little did he know that now that I have the microphone, I said, okay, now that I'm here, you know, there's 70 of you here, but I don't see any North Africans. I cannot understand how you can meet together to reach North Africa and you don't ask the North Africans. This is like trying to reach Malta and you don't talk to a Maltese to see how we think, you know. And obviously that created quite a stir within the people, and they told me, well, we cannot bring North Africans because we cannot get them visas. I said, oh, come to Malta. They don't need visas to come to Malta. And anyway, long story short, they did come to Malta. I left the conference. That was the only meeting I was in. I left the conference and they voted me onto the steering committee. And by 1997, that partnership was in my hands. So people liked what I said so much that, hey, now Edwin is leading this. And the reality was that the second year they came to Malta, and there were still no North Africans because nobody invited them. But the third year, now it's in my hands, I invited 30 North Africans to come. And that changed the whole dynamics of because now it's not us trying to reach them, but it's them and us together reaching the region. And that's what I always believe in. So we have a lot of meetings in Malta because I'm Maltese, and because Malta was also seen as a neutral place, it was easy to get visas for people that needed the visas. And anyway, and these are some of the groups that actually meet together. You know, lot of acronyms there that maybe someday I will have the time to unpack for you. But those are all meetings that happen in our time in Malta with certain people. This is the hotel we've used, and it is significant in the sense that when you look at the sea, across the sea there's a little island there, can you see it? At the end of that peninsula there, that's where they say Paul was shipwrecked, the ship. And obviously they were then washed ashore into this bay. So actually it is called St. Paul's Bay. It's not commercialized, so, and many people say, is it true? And I say, you know, this is what tradition says. It's not like people are making money out of it because Paul was there. So I tend to believe it. You know, we have many volunteers that come and work. You see, they're me carrying the baby's basket there. I mean, you know, it's a family affair. So we do get a lot of this is my daughter, and it's true. She is using two phones. They're kind of talking to one and then relating to the other, most probably organizing transport. And all I do at the conference is take care of the grandchildren. Yeah. But they are my pride and joy. So, and this is, you're not supposed to take pictures at our conferences. Okay, so don't take pictures. Okay, wave. And well, anyway, nobody's seeing anything. You know, they're only hearing me. You know, some people are only hearing me, so they're not seeing the picture. But you in this room are privileged to see them. Now, at this conference, what we do is we try to, I mean, we have about 600 people now that come, so it has grown. And the idea is that each country showcases. So this is what's been happening, and this is what we like to happen. And this is what is needed. This is where we can partner. And I make a big emphasis in the beginning that it's not us, the West, going there to do our program, but we should be there to help the nationals there to reach their own. So, I mean, it does happen that people go and want to do their program, but we try to talk against that. As you can see, that's the different people. There's lots of networking that happens. Yeah, some dancing as well. You know, I mean, it's those are different countries. You know, different countries have different traditions. Lots of meetings around tables. We say around the coffee tables. And in some of these meetings, it could be, you know, we have different words that we use in networking. There's collaboration, there's friendship, there's partnership. Now, friendship is okay, we're just getting to know each other. Networking is kind of seeing what's available. And I say collaboration is what mostly happens. We collaborate together on a program, on a project. I mean, we might collaborate to stay out of each other's way. That's also collaboration, you know, and in countries like North Africa, that's important. And then partnership is when, hey, we're putting our money together and it's a long run and we're working together. And some of these, maybe you've heard of SAMN. Mm-hmm. It's our flagship, you know, kind of people started collaborating at this level. Yeah, at this level, Terence Escott, one had started it. And so, there's several like that have started during our meeting, and then it has continued. Some of them stop, some of them. I usually give this picture so that people understand what is BlueMed for. I say, okay, let's say I have an idea, God has told me, given me a script to put a short movie together to reach, a particular country in North Africa. Okay. If you come to Malta, you can have leads to find the actors from that country. You can find people that can help you to actually record it. You can find people that might help you to fund it. You can find people that will help you to broadcast it on the internet, satellite, or wherever. You can find people that might help you to translate it. You can find people that will help you to follow up after it's been broadcasted. You can find people that will help you to give the material that you need to share out. So anyway, does it happen in one meeting? Obviously no. To find all those people you need. But that's, the idea is that we're all there together, and that's why people come, because I need help in this, I need help in that. And myself and my daughter, we try hard to help people find each other. And during these meetings, I will show you later. Let's wait for it once I have the picture up. But some numbers, okay? I know Americans like statistics, so here we go. Whenever I search for statistics, it's always from America. How many dogs do people have, or how much was spent on Halloween, and how much did? Okay, so 4 days of main meetings with full country reports, 15 other meetings of at least 1 day each. So obviously, that's not 15 days. I mean, they happen together. 36 seminars on various subjects, numerous single meetings of 1 to 3 hours, 3 days of souk, where we have over 50 displays of you can go and just look around and see what's available that you can use in your ministry, or what God gave you and you want to share it with others. Over 10,000 emails to organize one of these meetings. Over 10,000 emails, average of 5 minutes each. That's 3 months of full-time work for my daughter mainly. 647 participants from over 300 missionary organizations, 279,000 euro hotel accommodation, 52,000 bursaries. So I try to raise that much every year to bring the North Africans and the nationals to Malta, so that they can, because in some countries, even half a day at the hotel is a month's wage for them. So obviously we have to bear that. And the best one I like is 18,800 euros. That's what, close to $20,000 coffee. That's how much I pay the hotel after those 4 days, for coffee. We don't have any coffee here today? No? Okay. But that's, just to give you the idea of what goes on, and hopefully encourage you to come someday. And this is where interest groups, we organize these to help people meet in a room. Like we're meeting here because we love missions. So there is a team that we find each other. So these are some of the things that we put up in different rooms so that people can go there. So if I'm interested in social media, I go there. This year we actually had also AI in church planting. And it was one of the well-attended conferences because everybody wanted to see that. But besides these, we only have Berbers there, but besides these, we also have what we call people groups. Because in North Africa there are 5 countries, but many people groups, and some people are kind of focused on a particular group. So as you can see, and there's more than this. These are just some of them. Okay, so that's my contact info, just in case you want to know more and want to get in touch with the Barbarian. I would be happy to do that. So I've kind of stopped a few minutes before the time. Whether there's a question or two that you would like to ask, Don?
Question to ask Don? Or
No, question to ask me.
what's the state of the church in North Africa?
Okay. At the moment, each country is going through a certain amount of difficulty. But if I look back to when I started in 1995 to now, percentage-wise, the church has grown a lot. Is it enough? No, it's still small. There's still a small percentage of Christianity, but it has grown. It has, and what I see also is not just grown in number, but in each country there are good leaders. And my role is to try to continue to empower them so that the church can continue to grow. The disadvantage is that a lot of the leaders, it's like me, they tell me, how did you become pastor? I say, I was saved first. And then I'm the pastor. Well, in North Africa it's the same. I mean, those people that are saved first, eventually they are the leaders. Is that always good? No. Because some of them are kind of born leaders, some of them are not. So, but at the moment, a couple of the countries, there is what I would call infighting, which is the churches, not agreeing. There's never been any denominations, but you know how it happens. People start coming in, and denominations, even without you thinking about it, when you're sharing what you believe, you're creating them. So I think we are at that age where eventually they're going to say, oh, okay, I want to be with this side of the church. I try to tell them it's okay. We need to celebrate our differences. That's my phrase. I always say, we need to celebrate our differences. I say, look at the world. What, 80 billion people? We all have different fingerprints. We all have different eyes. I mean, God is a God of diversity. He could have created a few animals. That way, it was enough. But no, I mean, look at the amount and the diversity. So I say, God is the same. Why should we limit it in the church where we are all the same? So, it's okay to separate because you like to sing for half an hour and preach for 15. And somebody wants to preach for 45 minutes and sing for 5 minutes. I mean, it's okay. Do that. But don't fight about it. Just celebrate your differences. So anyway, so that's that. In one particular country, the authorities have allowed the church, and when they've kind of grown, they are closing the churches down. So there is that element. And in another particular country, there is a lot of what I would call family persecution, rather than authority, and that's worse. Sometimes it's better to have the authorities against you than your family or your tribe or your, the people around you. That can be more dangerous. The authorities normally try to play by the books, but families do not play by the books. So, but I am encouraged. The church has grown, and I believe that these things, I've seen them happen, and somehow God always brings out the good out of something like this eventually. So, any other question? We have to be careful we don't allow too much silence because this is being recorded. We don't want the people that are hearing it thinking that it's over. It's not over, so please keep listening.
There's a people group. They're a subset of Berbers, and we called them the Blue Men.
The Blue Men.
And I thought they were very interesting in the sense that they were very nomadic. They wore blue.
They were blue.
And their family dynamic is the women are instead of a patriarchal, it's a matriarchal society. So I was kind of wondering, are you seeing people in that people group coming to faith?
Not much. I mean, this sounds like the Tuaregs. They are the men in blue.
Okay.
You know, at first I thought you were going to say Blue Med, but anyway, that's
Oh, yeah, no, that's you.
they are the men in blue. No. I mean, there are some, not in North Africa. There are some that are kind of in the sub-Saharan part that have come to the Lord, but in the North Africa context, I have no indication whatsoever that any of them, they are, you know, their culture, the way they are, it's even more difficult. Because remember, a lot of people look at Christianity as a Western culture. They look at us Christians as trying to colonize. I mean, obviously we don't want to do that, but that's how they look at us. So when they have such a culture and you're going with something different, the opposition is twice. And there's the opposition of, you know, this is being Christian. There's the opposition that you're trying to change their culture, and so on. So, but in North Africa, it's very difficult. In fact, if you ask me, North Africa, where is the work concentrated? Most of it is in the capital cities. It's we have to be really intentional, and that's something that I try, you know, to send people outside of the capital cities. Can you send Westerners outside the capital cities? No, you cannot. So that's where we try to work with locals, so that, you know, they are sent into the other cities around them, and we don't send them with a support and they don't do anything except the church. We have to provide for them to be able to, if there's no job, to do a business that gives them the authenticity of being there to start the church. So anyway, that's
You said that media is the most effective method. Is there much censorship of that, or is it something that you have to have a different method of getting the media?
You mean censorship from the authorities? No, not in North Africa. I don't think they have the because even, I mean, there are countries where I went to and they try to control the internet. It's not easy. It's not like what they do, for example, like we're here in China and Russia. They stop this, they stop that. I've never heard that happening in North Africa.
You mentioned just a moment ago about, we call it BAM, and in your...
Business as mission.
Yes, and in a couple of slides back, you talked about that. What are the types of businesses, let's say, that seem to be working well, so that we, let's say, in America, want to mobilize a businessman or a woman to go to Northern, have that skill set? You know, what would work well?
Unfortunately, there's been lots of failures. So, but that means we also learned a lot. Almost anybody you talk to in North Africa, if you tell them, how can I help you, they will tell you, buy me a car. That's the classical. Because with the car, then I can use it to transport people. And it's not like here, most probably like Malta. You need to have a special license plate, a special license to be able to do that. But North Africa...
So it's like an Uber then?
Yeah, like an Uber, but it's not an Uber. It's, you know, but they use it to help people transport. So that's the classical one. Does it work for a while? Some of them it works, but then they run the car to the ground, or they don't really maintain it, and so on. There are very few things that have really grown, and it's because some of it is it's in conjunction either with a Westerner that is living there, and so on. Our experience, Sylvia and I, where, you know, we've been trying to help people. I mean, in certain countries we failed miserably, you know, in the sense that you give them the money, it works for a while, you know, you help somebody start a chicken farm, and then so that they can sell the eggs, then you go a year later, where are the chicken? Oh, we had to eat them. No, you're supposed to eat the eggs, not the chicken. So we started businesses to sell cards, I mean all kinds of things, but every time it's difficult. With the one that we kind of love to see because it's still ongoing, we helped somebody start. First it was a dairy farm, did not work. Then it was like a sheep farm, did not work. Then we went to rabbits, so we're getting smaller. Rabbits, that did not work. The chicken did not work. Finally, somebody decided to try quail, and that blew up. I mean that.
Quail eggs?
Quail. No, they sell the quail.
Oh, the quail.
Yes. And I love coming to see that project because I usually ate about a dozen quail, barbecued. So but that has, and it's not just that it's grown; it is supporting families. There's another one that they take the date harvest and they use the dates in various ways and and that again it also has grown. So there are these businesses like that. We've tried, in the past, internet cafes and all this, but it's not easy. It's not easy. So if anybody is going to do any business admission and invest money, they have to have hands-on. It's not going to say, oh, I found somebody that's going to do it, you give them, it doesn't work that way. No. And another thing we've noticed is once you give money to somebody, you have to be careful because if their family finds out, they're going to have to help their family. So it's that's also another issue. But there are people at the conference that are experts, they're doing it. They're doing it with different people, and they have their people on the ground that are monitoring. So if you're interested in that, I would connect you with people that are actually doing it.
How have you seen the partnerships change when you first invited the North Africans to those conferences? At that point in time, how have you seen it evolve over the decades?
Okay. I have seen the mission atmosphere or mission work change a lot. In 95, 97, when I was there, very few mission organizations were interested to work with a national, And in 2000, which is 23 years ago, I joined Partners International because they were the only organization that were willing to actually help the national believers. And I thought, oh, this is amazing that they are doing that. Now, has it changed? It has changed a lot. And now, I would say, most mission organizations have changed to the point that they are including nationals. Now, I always say we have to be very careful. We're not including the nationals as cheap labor. They're cheaper to have, so let's use them. That's not what we're implying. We're implying, hey, we need to work with them because they already know the language, they already live there. Just to give you an example. In Malta, the church I started in 1983, 2 years ago, I kind of handed it over to another pastor. I'm happy, very happy with that. There is a little problem though, because this other pastor I handed to is an American. Now, he's been there 25 years, and I was talking with Don this morning. Him and his wife, they are special, And the 25 years, they've been maybe twice to the US, like for 4 months. But otherwise, they're always there. So they're different but he's an American. So anything can happen, which makes him come back home, and now you are left with. So working with nationals is, now you tell me, so why did you give it to an American? Unfortunately, in Malta, in these last years, there has been no upsurge, what do you call it, of young Maltese leaders. So if there's one prayer I always say for Malta, is to pray for God to touch hearts of young Maltese men and women to take leadership in the role. Part of it is the problem of our past, because in the past we were a colony of England, and England put this mentality in Maltese that the foreigners are better than us to run things. And, you know, you try hard to remove it, but it's there. So as soon as there's a foreigner, people will kind of step back. Now, in North Africa and some of the countries, the nationalists came forward, the national people came forward, and the church grew because God allowed the missionaries to be kicked out of the country. So, you know, anyway, that's just some information, extra information. So, to answer to your question, we've seen a big shift of these mission organizations coming from the West. And when I say the West, Latin America, everywhere, working now and actually seeking to work with nationals or fund and so on.